Hello and welcome to the Leverage Podcast. I'm Paul Richard and we have Garrett Vanderpool with us today. Welcome, Garrett. How are you?
Good. How are you, Paul?
Good to talk to you. Good to see you. Pretty excited to get started and talk about your business and a little bit about yourself here. And so let's open up with a little bit about your background and where you entered this business. How did you get into this business?
Yeah, started the business, got into this business in about fourth or fifth grade when I started helping teachers with their technology and kept getting in trouble going to the computer. But
Ah,
it was just like a gravitational pull that just kept pulling me to the computer in the classroom. But long story short, I actually started Vandernet in my college dorm room, like many other tech startups. In regard, I had to make money, right? And so one of
sure.
the ways to do that was um, I went to a pretty well-established college, John Brown University in Salem Springs, Arkansas. And one thing that I realized or picked up on quickly is that parents were shipping their precious cargo to college, and they were miles and miles away and wasn't able to, you know, physically fulfill some of their needs that they had, and one of those being technical issues. And so, out of a need for money, I just started helping these students, these fellow students that I was students with their technology. And truthfully, I was just talking to their parents. I didn't really talk to them. I talked to them about their problem, but there was the business transaction was done with their parents, and their parents would pay me. I remember getting a call from a guy at the Pentagon. He worked in the Pentagon,
Oh,
and
wow.
he had sent his daughter to John Brown University for college, and he just started kind of asking questions, and which is just definitely wanted his daughter's technology fixed. And I was like, no problem. She's in good hands. We'll take care of it. No problem. And I set up my college dorm room phone as Vandernet's first number. And it was my dorm room extension and everything on campus. And so that's kind of how it evolved. Got started, and then later it was kind of like obviously a hobby at that point in time. And then later it actually evolved more. That wasn't like an organized business at that point in time. It was just me coming up with some random name and helping students. But as I got married and needed revenue, I actually applied for two jobs that I thought, I could do a really great job with them, being in college IT and then now transitioning into the private space. And I actually got declined for both those jobs. And just married, um, needing to provide for my wife and I. My wife turns to me and looks at me and she says, "Garrett, you're good enough. Get out there and start working. We need money, like for food."
Yeah.
And so I started doing that, and full circle, within 2 years, God had those two places that I had applied, those corporate jobs to work at, within 2 years had become one of our clients at Vandernet. So
Wow.
instead of a W-2, then now I'm a 1099 at Vandernet for those two places that I had applied. So God is good in His favor. Um, you just keep moving forward. Just that's what I was doing, was moving forward, and yeah. So long story short, fast forward 16 years, and this is where we're at.
That's fantastic. So you're here in Branson, Missouri, and you have just a wide range of services that you offer. Maybe let's outline a couple things. One, wherever you want to start, you've got Vandernet and Vanderlink, right? Am I thinking
Mm,
right?
yeah, absolutely. So,
Okay.
so we have two
So
companies here.
yeah, tell us a little bit about each of them individually and about the service list that you have for those, and outline that for us, please.
Yeah. First off, I just want to make our mission clear. Our mission is to spread the gospel, and
Amen.
God puts us in unique positions and situations otherwise that we have no other business being in. And that I use the business as a vehicle, and it and it's amazing where the business has taken me and put me in front of all these different people that I can think of. And it's just an opportunity to share God's love and hopefully be a witness to Him and bring people and show the love of Jesus, that they can receive the love of Jesus and their life be transformed forever. So that's first and foremost our number one priority is
Yeah.
making sure that we're loving God and loving people very well. But that is why we do it. But the what we do is the products and services that we bring to the marketplace that get us into the doors to these places where we're able to have these relational conversations day in and day out. And those services is what we would call our IT and cybersecurity. And then that's on the Vandernet side. And then on the Vanderlink side, it's an ISP, Internet Service Provider, which I'm sure you're all familiar with in regard to the Optimums of the world, the Brightspeeds, the White River Connects. All of those people play in the ISP space. So let's just go back to Vandernet. And Vandernet, we're really just focused on understanding where businesses are at today, understanding where is their plan, like their growth plan, and where do they want to be in a certain amount of years. And if they don't have that, then we want to help um, be as helpful as possible to make sure that that is, because it's extremely hard to secure and know where we're headed if it's not defined. So things that are defined can be
Right.
secured. Things that aren't defined, it's kind of like a free for all. It is what it is. And unfortunately, that doesn't bring a whole lot of security to a business. And so we have to help a business become stable and then look at where they're going to go. And then we are able to align the technology to help them get there faster. Our goal is to help them uh, reclaim time, and we say outsmart their competition. What are ways that they can leverage technology to do things faster in a more efficient way that would deliver a better product, a better service, and allow them to grow stable over the period of time that we define. And so we do that through providing better value, like what I said, aligning the technology around the business, faster outcomes. So how can we predetermine anything that could go wrong, or maybe it's not going wrong. Maybe it's like, hey, I'm gonna bring on this employee, and they reside in this place in the org chart, and I know inherently what accesses to technology, what technology they need, what access to programs that they need, and I can automatically go ahead and know how to set that up. Or say, for instance, Paul, your laptop crash. Well, let's have a conversation before it crashes and let's figure out, hey, here's A, B, and C. Which one of those three would you like to have happen if your laptop were to crash today? And so then that way you can come right back. We don't have to talk to you. We just execute on strategy and move forward. And then obviously the stronger protections. That's the last piece that we provide on Vandernet side. And the stronger protections piece is just simply it's not just like, hey, I got antivirus. It's a layered defense system. There's multiple layers to our security and how we um, protect your business. It's not just a once and done check, move on. It's active, ongoing. As a matter of fact, the team every single morning, we have what's called our quick stand-up meeting, and then they move into our operations side of our company, moves into what we call our cybersecurity briefings, and they're listening to specific podcasts that are telling them exactly what's going on in the world, what's been observed, so we can look at what's happening threat-wise, like bad guys, right? And then we look at our software and it's like, hey, okay, so if it were to get through here, we'd be able to isolate it and stop it here. So that's extremely important as threats are changing. With the geopolitical um, environment, it seems like it's getting more intense and more intense every day. There are innocent people that are at the cost or the liberty of some of these geopolitical decisions. And that's businesses. That's my business. That's your business, Paul. That's all these other businesses. Sometimes we get stuck in a war that's literally happening between nations on the digital front, but you're an innocent bystander and your business gets hit when some other foreign nation decides they're going to create a specific type of malware that's going to target the Pentagon, but it just runs wild, not just towards the Pentagon, and it hits your business, and then it cripples your business. So we not only are fighting against the private threat actors, the hackers that are, you know, the stereotype that they're sitting in their mom's basement, but we're going to go up against countries here and protecting businesses from other foreign states. And it's not something to take lightly. It's not something to just put your head in the sand and ignore it. These threats are real, and they're crippling businesses across America and the world every single day. So that's why it's important that you have somebody that is looking out after your technology and helping your business make sure it stays afloat. You work hard. Paul, you don't show up to every single day at work to work hard for something that you have only for it to be gone tomorrow. And
Right,
that's what could
right.
happen. We're here to protect the growth. That's really what it is here at Vandernet. So, and on the Vanderlink side of things, it's a traditional internet. Hey, if we can service you and your business, even if we're providing backup internet to your business location here in Branson, Hollister, Forsyth area, that's fantastic. But guess what? On an ISP scale, we have access to thousands and thousands of internet service providers across America. And if we can't directly service your business, we can help you find a provider in your area because of our network and give you direct pricing right here from our own desk here in Branson. So we can leverage a national scale of ISPs. We have a voice over IP system like you've talked about, or we've talked about in the past, where you get the bells and whistles of a big company, and it's at a fraction of the cost, like literally a fraction of the cost of what it would take if you had went out and just to market and buy your own phone system. It's all self-hosted in our cloud, and it's self-hosted in the cloud, but it gives you access to it wherever you're at, wherever your business is at, whether it's in Branson, Hollister, Forsyth, you know, or you're in San Marcos, California. You can access this phone system anywhere in the world that you're at. So, Paul, I hope
Wow.
that explains what you're looking for.
Yeah, that was a lot. Excuse me. I was going to say let's unpack a couple of those things because it's very interesting, and I think a lot of folks that are watching right now are going, "What did he talk about? I don't, what happened there?" Because I've been in rooms with your father trying to explain, Vandernet and Vanderlink, and I see a little bit of eyes glazing over sometimes because a lot of folks don't know what's going on, right? I mean, they just really don't, and a lot of them don't want to know. So. Would it be fair to ask you to walk us through a client situation where you've come in and provided that protection either after the fact or before they just realized the threat was there? You're not naming any names, obviously, but maybe just to give us an idea how you do implementation, when you come across a customer that needs you to help them out. Would that be okay?
Yeah. So, when it comes to it's really discovery. Every business should start with discovery and discovering where the business is at today and getting what we call a baseline assessment, understanding not only the cybersecurity side of the business and what protections they have in place, and we do that through a cybersecurity risk assessment, a CSRA. And what that typically does is that's kind of our first engagement on the IT and cybersecurity side. And what we do there is a 30 to 45-day process. We do it for nearly cost, just so that way you can the prospect has a good understanding of where their business is at from a security landscape today. It's all read only. No changes are made through the process, and then we can understand the risk that your business has, and we can educate you on that risk, and then determine what next steps would look like in regard to moving forward, or maybe you just want to take those results and go to another provider to remedy that and take care of them. But it all starts with risk. It all starts with the assessment of risk. Evaluating your people. How exposed are your people to clicking on emails, phishing emails, and then we move into the data. And then where is the data? What type of data are you collecting? Where is it stored inside your organization? Most people think they have an idea of where that data is stored in their organization, but but once again, when they get the results and they see the CSRA results, they're like, what in the world? Yes, because that's exactly what we want. We want the risk label to be illuminated. We want them to understand that there's data all over the place, and we got to get control over it and get it in a central place that's like literally controlled by cybersecurity protections and permissions. So that way, just not any hacker can just get on your computer and then your whole world's just out the door. And then the technology piece of it. And the technology is, hey, I go into rooms and I say, hey, how many of you guys are still operating on Windows XP? Raise your hand. And everybody chuckles and laughs because that's what it, they're like, of course we're not using XP anymore,
Yeah.
Garrett. And so then I move it to something a little bit more real and I say, how many of you guys are using Windows 10? Raise your hand. And then it gets a little bit more serious. It's funny with XP, not so serious with Windows 10. And the reality is the technology piece. If the vendor isn't supporting it, the people that made that device or software, they're no longer releasing patches or updates for that device, then there's exposure and
Sure.
there's vulnerabilities associated to that. So it's extremely important that we're keeping our technology up to date and current. I read a statistic actually an article the other night, that 50% we're on iOS 26 if you have an Apple device. That's the version, and they're talking about version 27 coming out. But um, I read an article the other night that 50% of the world's iPhones are running version 18 or less. And that's
Wow.
huge. I mean, that's
That is
massive.
huge.
And the reason is twofold. A, people aren't updating their iOS, their iPhone, or secondly, Apple just made a really good product that runs and runs forever that people are like, I don't need a new iPhone. Mine's working just fine. And it's no longer supported by Apple. And so you can imagine, Paul, the issues related to that. As a matter of fact, I just read another article about there's actually two iOS vulnerabilities right now in the wild that allows people to intercept and see the data on your computer if you fall captive to those vulnerabilities. So it's huge keeping your technology up to date. And so that was the last pillar that I have. So that's so these clients that are getting on board with this, there's always this like I tell people every day, if we were to come in day one and fully implement our cybersecurity strategy, it would be like a guillotine. Your business would cease to operate. And the reality is it's cybersecurity is an evolving progression, and that's why here at Vandernet we focus on a five-stage cybersecurity organizational maturity model. And you're like, what the heck was that? But the reality is we come in and we do it in steps. We start with discovery and then we progress through our steps. And then as your business evolves and goes through our stages, it becomes more secure, more locked down, more focused. And we're doing that. We're doing those five stages on the better value piece, the faster outcomes, and then the stronger protections. So we're moving through those stages, and your business is becoming more efficient, operating better, and is more secure as we move through those stages. So, Paul, what about the people that said no? What about the people that we prospected and said, "Hey, this is important," and they said no? Let me tell you about those people.
Yes.
So last year, um, you know, we got an email, and it was somebody that had said that they were working on their computer, and all of a sudden the mouse started moving.
Ooh.
And they're like, help, help, help. And what slowly unfolded over the next 18 to 20 hours was they had received an email from somebody that they had done business with 2 or 3 years ago. Another local business in the community had been fallen prey to some type of phishing scheme. And as a result, they got access to their address book, and then it moved to this individual that I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And what happened was they got a suspicious email, and it was from Canva, though. It said, so and so vendor has requested you look at this from Canva. And you look at all of the primary, you look at all the information in the documentation, and literally the email was from canva.com. That person had shared a template from Canva. So when they clicked the email and they went to go view that template, guess what happened?
Open the door.
Opened the door.
Yep.
And because it was from a reputable site, it wasn't a suspicious email, right? Like that we're used
Right.
to, that looked so obvious, and but it was from Canva.com. So we automatically bought into this concept that if it's from Canva.com, it's a trusted platform and should be secure. But them launching that template, which was the hackers had built a template and then shared this and then made it on behalf of this other vendor, opened the door, and now we have hackers in the computer looking around. The hackers made a mistake. They were moving it around. They didn't intentionally know that she had showed up to start working on her computer, but they were already in the browser. They were already taking passwords out of the browser and logging into bank accounts, buying stuff off of Amazon. I mean, like full fledged, like stealing stuff. And PayPal was also compromised in the situation. And next thing we know, what we were able to get in, we did incident response in this situation. We got in, we closed all the doors, we isolated the machine, and we started to investigate. And that's the story that I just told you is what we unraveled and put all the pieces together, which we called that other vendor in the community. And we said, hey, by chance, did you have anything? Well, I was overseas and I came back and I had all these people emailing me about if I had been hacked. And he's like, I'm pretty sure I've been hacked. And so then that's what happened. And then this individual that we're working with had also fell prey to, because they had done business with so and so, fell prey to
Yeah.
that Canva share. And then what unraveled was, fortunately, we were able to um, get everything isolated, everything, all this fraud reported, that it didn't end up costing their business. But where did it cost their business? It cost their business in the amount of time that it took to
Downtime.
recover.
Yep.
That computer was isolated and offline for probably a good couple of weeks. We had to, get a new computer and get them all set up on the new computer, and then monitor the environment to make sure that nothing had spread to other machines in the environment. It costs them a lot of money, not in what you would expect traditionally, but
Right.
it costs them money. And that's what the hackers are after. They're after your money, but they don't care what's damaged in the process.
Right. Right. That's an incredible story. And so that's probably repeated year after year as you guys are having clients that have said no like that. And so take us back to, you said there's the evaluation phase that goes on. Is that something where you can price that based on the size of the
Yeah,
organization, or how does
absolutely.
that work?
Yeah, so it's based on employee size.
Okay.
And so what's is great because, obviously there's more work in it for us if the organization has more employees. But if you know, that way they can budget for it. We have organizations that budget for that. And then they're like, hey, it's not in this year's budget, but by golly, it's going to be in next year's budget. And we find that success is in budgeting, like just in anything, you know. People that are on top of their money and know where it's at, and um, they budgeting is where everything's at.
Well, let's look at it this way too. So those that are watching the podcast and hearing about this, they're probably a little bit nervous about what you just told them, right? And so what would be
Hopefully
the
not
first
nervous. Hopefully they're informed.
Yeah. I don't know. It would make me a little bit nervous, I guess. But just where because it's an unknown. You've just brought kind of a unknown into the light, right? And for a lot of people, and that exposure is going to be like, okay, what do I do? So, your team here can work anywhere in the country, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't matter where you are,
Our core
and
focus is Missouri, Arkansas, Kansas, and Oklahoma. We want to stay we
you want to stay regional.
concentrate and we concentrate and stay focused in these four states. Now, I preface that by saying we have multiple corporations that have branch offices all across America.
Okay.
But they're principally located within these four states, usually HQ headquarters is. And what do you see, Paul, move in this direction? A lot of companies
A lot
are
of
exiting
companies.
California and
Yes.
they're coming this direction to Texas. You see a lot of new tech companies starting up in Texas. Actually, just a lot of companies. Austin's
Yes.
such a big powerhouse, you know. But
Yes. Yes.
so I think more things are coming to our region, and it's exciting for economic development inside Branson and Southwest Missouri. Just because people, um, that's what people want. They want a simpler life, but they want what we have here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. To give our listeners also a little bit of idea, so give us an idea. If you're a one-person operation, okay, how could you help that person, and then maybe scale it up? What's probably your? Do you have a larger or a high end where it's 1,000 employees,
Yeah.
or do you have a cap? How does
So
how does that work?
really where this makes sense, on our scale at Vandernet is we have companies that are doing full-fledged cybersecurity with 3 users,
Okay.
with 3 employees. But we have upwards of geez, the one that we're working with is probably around 1,000 employees, and you know, the span is wide, but the solution's the same in regard to it. But if you're a one person or two-person shop, I just have to say kudos because especially if you're a solopreneur, I have the utmost respect for a solopreneur. And the reason why that is that's the hardest stage of the business.
Right.
Things change when you hire your first employee. And the best thing you can do as a solopreneur is use as many free resources as possible to you. And there's a lot of great education online for cybersecurity and how to protect your data. And that's what I would do. I would keep all your eggs really close and tight until you can afford to make the next step in your business, which is engaging outside help. And that's really where we start to see fuel added to your fire as a business and growth is when you start to automate, delegate, and outsource. So when you start to look at efficiencies in your business that you can make and do faster, and then delegate. What are the things inside your company that you have been doing that somebody else inside your business can be doing, which is like hiring your first employee or second
Right.
employee or third employee. And then the last thing is outsource. What is not your jam? What is the thing that you're not if it's not part of your core product or offering, why are you doing it? And that might be anything. That could be marketing. That could be IT is a great example. Let's talk IT since that's why we're here. Your phone services, you have to stay as nimble as possible. You have to be able to shift and move and be very agile when you are a startup. It's super important, and then, but you also have to have a plan for scale, and you have to align your business with people that can help your business scale and grow, both being with technology, both being marketing. I mean, like there's all kinds of stuff that you could align your business with and do that is not your jam, not the thing, your core focus, your core superpower as a business. And so you have to evaluate those things and then outsource those things eventually.
That of course. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And in one of our other podcasts, I had a gentleman from the East Coast, yeah, Robert Siciliano, and he goes around speaking about cybersecurity. He happened to be here in town, in Branson, talking with the realtors at our board, and he had some, kind of, I guess you'd say, advice. If you don't have any cybersecurity now, what are some steps you should take just to get started into that? And what do you have a few things where you might say, hey, just go do this right now? Regardless of using my company, what would you do to just tell them, hey, go do this right now
Yeah,
and make sure those things are secure? Okay.
two
Is
things.
there anything? Yeah.
So obviously we've all heard of multi-factor authentication
Yes.
with text code and everything like that. The second thing that I think we fall prey to is that we ourselves have too much access to things. And I would recommend that you move off of, like, say, for instance, you're a startup and you're doing your G Suite or you have Microsoft Office 365, and your native user account should not have administrative privileges, meaning to make account changes or settings. You should be moved to another account that has less access to your administrative environment. You keep that, administrative account for only specific things that you need to do. But outside of that, you should just be a standard user in your network. Guess what, Paul?
That's
I
very,
don't
very good.
I don't have the ability to install software on my computer.
Ah,
I'm the CEO
interesting.
of the company and I don't have
Yep.
an administrative account on my computer. Why is that? It's because I don't need it. I mean, and if somebody, if it doesn't mean that that you couldn't have access to those abilities to do so, but your user account should not have administrative privileges on your computer. It should be a separate account that you have access to when you need it. Because what happens? The hackers get on your computer and they can do less, right?
Right, right. So you're virtually saying, okay, if somebody takes control of my um if somebody takes control of my computer or my account, they're limited access already, and so that's a big deal. And then so you put it into a separate administrative account that's not available on that particular computer. Is that how that works?
Or yeah, maybe let's just talk computer. On the computer, it would have its own separate administrator, and then you just be a standard user on your computer. But the same thing true for your email environment. Your email environment, you wouldn't be an administrator. You'd just be a standard user, a standard
Ah,
email and everything inside your email environment. And then your administrator account would be a different account that would have access to make all the changes in your accounts.
I see. I see. That's fantastic advice, by the way. I love that. I love that. All right. Great advice there. So let's talk about as far as on the internet side for a minute. So if people want to look at pricing options and service options there, is there a website they can go to for that side
They
and
can
check that out?
they can email hello@vanderlink.com and we'll get back
Okay.
with them. Or
Okay.
they can give us a call at 417-266-5656 and press the sales option there and then get transferred and then just tell us, listen, if you already have the best internet provider inside your town, quote unquote, um, then, we're probably not going to be able to, for some reason, providers don't like to give better pricing to already customers.
Right. Right.
But we can evaluate and see what options are in your area. If Vanderlink isn't able to service that location, then we can move forward and able to provide additional resources and options to provide internet to your location.
I see. I see. Okay. Like in a situation like mine, so I've got a home internet provider, right? It's fiber to the house, and then I'm sitting in my commercial office right now, and that's provided by someone else here. How would you handle something like that? Is there a way to access your system on both platforms I'm on, or how would that work?
Yeah, so we're commercially focused only. So
Okay.
residential is not something that we do today.
Okay.
There's plenty of other providers that do that or trying to fulfill that need. Our core is to focus on commercial internet connections, and the reason why that is that way we can monitor it. That way we can make sure it's up. if our resources are spread too thin, the quality of service that you provide is not going to be able to be as deep as we would like if we were to go
Sure.
residential. So we focus on the commercial aspect of what we do.
Very good. Very good. Okay, that's good clarity for those watching, knowing they're thinking, well, should I have you work in my home? Well, that's not going to happen.
We
It's only
field those
commercial
calls
businesses.
all the time,
Yeah,
unfortunately. Yeah.
understood. Understood. And so, if we want to get started in a relationship with you, as far as understanding a little bit more about how you could help us with security, is that a different website than the
Yeah.
Vanderlink?
So
Okay,
instead
what's
of
that one?
hello, it's hello at vandernet.io.
Okay.
And that's Vandernet, VANDERNET.io. And you can
Uh,
email hello at vandernet.io if you're interested in IT and cybersecurity. We'd love to have a conversation. That's what we do here. So it's our superpower, IT and cybersecurity. So yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Well, is there anything else you'd like to cover as far as what we've talked about? You'd like to share with us?
No, I just anywhere I go, I just want to first off, I want to say thanks for the opportunity to be on here. But before I always conclude, I always like to speak to the individual and to the business that's listening. And I want uh, the individual and the business to hear this. No matter where you're at, you should be aligned with a nonprofit and in your community. And we have lots of nonprofits around here in the Branson area, but I think us as private business owners and individuals, we make the biggest impact when we are plugged in and helping our community thrive. And one of those nonprofits here in our community is Elevate Branson. They are doing such a tremendous work here in our community, and I think it's under talked about. And the reason why I want to just talk about this just for a second, Paul, is
Sure.
um, there are many great things that we can give our time to. And there's, housing assistance programs and all of this stuff. But here's where Elevate does it differently. They are focused on the individual and helping that individual get out of poverty and addiction that they're in, and then
Yes.
they're gonna it's like steps, it's like a stepping stone. So they're, I don't know if you knew it, but they have that tiny house community over there that they're
Yes, I saw
working
that.
on, and
Yes.
that tiny house community is a step for somebody that gets out of addiction, is working on getting a job and getting their life back on their feet, but it's a step into stability for their little family or maybe like kids. And then guess what? It's never designed for them to stay there forever. It's
Right.
only a stepping
Right.
stone out of that tiny house community into having a condo or house just like you and I, Paul. And
That's awesome.
I think it's huge because they're not only providing um, recovery and helping people get out of addiction. They're helping them find the documentation that they need to go get a job. They're doing job coaching, which is like, hey, what do you want to do? You want to be a plumber? I'm going to teach you how to be a plumber. Or you want to be an electrician? I'm going to teach you how to be. You want to be a cybersecurity guy? Okay, we'll teach you how to be a cybersecurity. I don't know if they have that program, but what I'm saying is they have these things, and then they are helping fill the need. Are you hungry? We'll help you. We'll help feed you. If you need a place to stay, we'll give you a place to stay so you can get up on your feet. And then guess what? These people graduate and then they become part of our community. They're already part of our community, but they're not like to their potential in our community right now. And so, can you imagine if you take these people? Because Jesus said, what? You
When
should
you're
care
hungry, you
about the
fed
least
me.
of these things,
Least of these. That's right. That's right.
orphans and widows. And
Yep.
I believe that that is also for the homeless and the people that have been down on their luck, maybe a life circumstance that's changed their trajectory. Let's help them get back up and feet on their feet and help them make the right decisions and help them get there. And that's why I think everybody, whether it's Elevate or another nonprofit, we are in such a great community full of nonprofits that are trying to do a good work that everybody should be aligned with a nonprofit. and helping their community. But that's I just mentioned Elevate as a great example of one of those in our community.
It is a great example, and I was fortunate enough. I didn't know a lot about Elevate until recently, when one of our networking groups, there's one of their representatives in there, and then we had a event over at their facility here in Branson. It's just over behind the Titanic, off of the Strip here in Branson. And so definitely go over there. They have a thrift shop. They have other
Yeah,
things there where you can go visit and find out about the ministry there. And it's excellent, excellent. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And so, your opening statement about the fact that our businesses are truly, ministries that God's using us to go into people's lives that we would never have access to otherwise, right? And that's the way I
absolutely.
see it as well. And because ultimately that is our calling to do that. And I was wondering, do you have any book recommendations for people that would be interested in any of the things we've talked about today?
Oh man, Paul,
Got a
you've really asked the right questions.
couple?
I don't know, like when I look at book recommendations, I just think business. I think at the fundamental of it all, we're all in business. And
Yes,
I think how I complement a business might be different in regard to how you complement a business.
sure.
But the reality is, it doesn't matter what you're doing. We're all in this together because we're all in business. And business is focused on hopefully one thing, and that's the profit and loss statement and bringing net dollar value to our bottom line. And we all should be in that same boat. If not, um, I don't know. I don't know. But one of the books that I've really enjoyed recently is The Science of Scaling by Benjamin Hardy. And
Mm. Yes.
another another one is The E-Myth. You can never go wrong with Michael Gerber's E-Myth Revisited. And one of the ones that made a huge difference in my life in regard to how I look at my time is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. That is a
Yes.
huge one. And I can't say this without, I was just talking to Jeff Reynolds recently, a local realtor here. Um, but The One Thing by Gary Keller.
Yep. Yep.
Gary is just such a um, mindful of wisdom in regard to prioritizing what is the one thing in your business that if you focus on the one thing, it'll make everything else irrelevant. And it's huge. Let's see here. A fun read, unrelated to anything that we talked about, is Midnight in Chernobyl by Adam Higginbotham. It's
Hmm.
an account on the Chernobyl meltdown, and it is fascinating. The story of the people that go in and that night at Chernobyl, and then the days that progress where they tried to get things under control. That that was pretty cool. Pretty cool book.
Wow. Wow. That's and you mentioned Jeff. I One of the books he recommended to me is Thou Shalt Prosper,
Hmm.
which is, if you're familiar with that one,
Who's
that's
it written by?
it's a rabbi and his name is
Yes,
Daniel Lapin. Yes. And
yes,
so
Jewish rabbi.
he
Yep,
Jewish rabbi. Yep.
yep.
And
It's a
you
he's friends
know,
with Dave Ramsey.
that's exactly what I was going to say. He's friends
Yep.
with Dave Ramsey. He travels around with him sometimes, and I think it's the Jewish mindset and biblical background of how they view business and how they do business and
Yeah.
why they're so prosperous as a people. And I think one of the main points of that book is that what you just mentioned is profit is not evil, right? Profit is not evil. Okay, that's the way the system, the way God set it up. Is that there's a growth and there's income and there's support and all those
What does
things.
Dave
And
Ramsey
so,
say? Dave Ramsey says, "Live like nobody else today, so later you can live and give like nobody else."
like nobody else. That's right. That's right. Very much so. Very much so. Very much in line with biblical principles there. I do highly promote obviously being in the virtual assistant business myself, I do highly promote, who, not how in that world. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, I just finished an excellent thing to do, I found out, is to go and get the Audible recording of that book. And
Yep.
then it's an interview style. Have you been through that?
Yeah, and then there's another one that is 10x is easier than 2x, which came out later from
That's
Harding.
that's from that same
Yep,
author. That's right. That's right.
Benjamin
Yep.
Harding.
And they integrate those things. And then my
Mm-hmm.
other one that's been recent is um, Gino Wickman has a whole series on
Traction?
what EOS.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
and EOS system. And if you're not familiar with that, that's where it's basically all the aspects of your business in a structured format to be able to start with that structure, and as you build, you can scale it that way. Because if you don't have structure, you can't scale it. What you got there?
So what? It's
Yes.
the six or the I think it's six functions of your business. You have the vision, you have the data, you have the process, you have traction regarded to those items,
Yes.
you have issues, and then you have your people. That's
That's
EOS
the
is
EOS.
six. Yep.
That's the EOS, exactly. And I mean, a lot of times you are consulting with businesses that may be in chaos and need that kind of framework to bring them into a position where they can actually have security and those types of things. Because entrepreneurship many times is messy, right? It's a very messy
It can be,
thing.
for
It can
sure.
be, right? Yep. A lot of times it is in that case.
We have to
So
bring
for the
organization to the chaos,
exactly, exactly.
and that's
And
what
Gino,
EOS does.
EOS does.
Yeah.
I started out with a book called Rocket Fuel
Mm-hmm.
in that series, which is basically you've got a visionary and an integrator and that whole thing, and that's a fantastic read. And then I just read Traction as well
Letting
recently.
go of the vine.
Letting go of the vine. That's exactly right in that part of it. So, well, some great recommendations there. Did you have any more? I didn't want to cut you off. You have another
No,
one.
I mean I've got a million. We'd be here all day if I went through my whole list
Okay.
of book reads.
That's
So
fantastic.
yeah,
Uh, So to get a hold of you, it would be Vanderlink and Vandernet.
yeah,
Just Google those or and that to be able
yeah,
to find you. And
absolutely.
it's been fantastic getting to know you
Thanks,
a little
Paul.
bit better here, Garrett. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to our next discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.